Forget about apprehensive owners and demanding coaches and anxious TV executives. In putting together this year's schedule, Howard Katz and his hard-working good folks in the media department had to account for the edge, and not Edgerrin James. I mean the edge of U2. U2's North American swing of the 360-degree tour wreaked havoc on the scheduling process, altering the schedule for Arizona, Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas, Houston, New England, Tampa, and Washington. Indy had to move for a Kenny Chesney concert. Darren Horton takes us inside this painstaking process.
Cincinnati picks up the Week 4 bye, but they get their division games late.
Who are these two men and what are they talking about? Meet Howard Katz and Michael North, charged with the annual task of overseeing the layout of the NFL's regular season schedule.
This process is literally 24/7 for 10 weeks, right up until the day the schedule comes out. There are 724 trillion possible NFL schedules in any given season.
The complexity of the problem is trying to wind up with a final product that generates the greatest number of eyeballs from a television standpoint for the National Football League, that's fair and equitable across all of our broadcast partners, and at the same time is equitable from a playing schedule standpoint for all 32 teams.
The clubs are going to have competitive preferences, open at home, close at home, mid-season bye, don't want to go to Lambeau in December, don't want to go to Miami in September. And the networks are going to have requests. Everybody wants New England Indy. Everybody wants Dallas Giants.
Despite using a computer to help narrow down their options, the final decisions ultimately are still made by humans.
Last year, the Miami Dolphins and the Atlanta Falcons arguably came out of nowhere. So by the time the Falcons and the Dolphins got to the playoffs, most fans hadn't seen them really even play yet.
One matchup that was announced several weeks before the rest of this year's schedule, Bills-Patriots, Week 1 on Monday Night Football.
This is Tom Brady's first game off of knee surgery. When T.O. signed with the Bills, you can't argue the fact that that made that a more attractive opponent for the Patriots that weekend.
One significant factor affecting the schedule has nothing to do with football.
We've got clubs that either share a stadium or share physical space with a baseball team. Happened last year. Phillies played a World Series game at night. Eagles had a game during the day. It was manageable. You get that same issue in Minnesota or Oakland or Miami, the baseball team needs the building to play their baseball game. We got to move that football game. When we were building this schedule by hand, we'd finish one. Now we finish hundreds and hundreds of schedules, and we can weigh the pros and cons of each of them and confidently go to the commissioner and say, we're very comfortable with this one. This is our recommendation.
Every team isn't going to be thrilled with its schedule. The schedule that we gave the Pittsburgh Steelers last year was the toughest schedule I've ever seen anybody play. And when I called Dan Rooney with the schedule, I said, Mr. Rooney, it really doesn't matter how we sequence this. This is an impossible, difficult schedule. All they did was win the Super Bowl.
And joining us right now is the man of the hour, the man on speed dials across the league, as well as television executives from sea to shining sea, and that is the Senior VP of Media Operations, Howard Katz, joining us in the program. Howard, are you relieved? Do you feel like a new baby has been born?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's 10 weeks of 24-hour-a-day work for 7 days a week. And when we get to today, generally I find out what an idiot I've been, and a lot of calls and people saying, how could you possibly do that? But actually today went pretty well. I think the overwhelming majority of the teams felt that the schedule was fair and balanced, and the initial reaction from our television networks has been pretty positive. So overall, it relieves and pleased.
So how does this work? Is it sort of like the advisors to Obama presenting him with a budget for him to approve? Do you literally go into the commissioner's office and say, Commissioner Goodell, this is the schedule, and he goes over it with a fine-tooth comb?
Yeah, we did. Actually, last Tuesday, a week ago, I walked in the commissioner's office with Michael North, who works with me on the schedule, and we took the commissioner through the entire schedule. And at the end of the process, he pointed out, and we recognized that we had a couple of flaws in it, and he said, why don't you see if we can fix those? And we've spent the last week really working on trying to fix a couple of issues that involved a few teams, and we were able to successfully do that thanks to the computer program that we now have. But yeah, Roger had to sign off on everything before we went forward with it, and then we called all the clubs today, called the networks, and here we are.